It's the 10-80-10 rule. 10% of people will never convert. You could be BJ Palmer and they're not going to convert. No matter what you do, they're just not. So forget about those people. On the other end of the bell curve, there's the 10% that will convert no matter what you do. You could give a horrible day two. You could be a horrible communicator. They just want to be a chiropractic patient. They're going to do it regardless. So we don't worry about those 10% on the end. It's the 80% in the middle that we have to focus on, because those people will go either way based on what you teach them and how you lead them.
Hello, and welcome to Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. This podcast is dedicated to chiropractors who are in the seasons of launching and building their practice. Join myself, Dr. Lona, and my co-host, Dr. Bobby, as we have conversations each week as it relates to building the practice of your dreams. And remember, you can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. We're here to lead you on the way.
All right, welcome back to the Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. And I am here with our return guest, Dr. Eric DiMartino, one of our longtime coaches for TRP. So welcome back, Dr. Eric. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Lona.
Yeah, of course. And just offline, we were talking about the leap that we all make where we become the doctor. We finally graduated school, and now we're stepping into the doctor role, and how sometimes there can be some stumbling with that. And so I know you're going to bring us through a great conversation. I think back to that role, when I first was in my first year of practice, and I remember thinking, what did I just say in that room? I have no idea what just came out of my mouth, but it wasn't good. Right. And cringeworthy for sure. I refuse to watch some of the YouTubes that I have from back then because I just don't have the grace for myself yet to watch that. So yeah, I think we've all been there, but I'd love to listen in on some of your nuggets that you've been training docs on as how to step more gracefully into that doctor role.
Well, we all start somewhere, Lona, and it's usually not in a very good position, but that's how we get better, right? I was just watching a video from Alex Hormozy. I think most of our listeners know who he is. And he was talking about how, 13, 14 years ago when he got into this, he shot this video that was just horrible. And he looks back and he's like, it was just terrible, but look where I am today, right? It's like people see him now and they think, oh, he's just got this gift. He's just blessed. It's like, yeah, he's a 14-year overnight success, right? And so we're all in that boat. And we just start with where we are and just keep getting better. That's the goal, right? So yeah, I want to specifically talk today. It's been something I've had a lot of conversations with some of my docs, my clients lately. And it's something that I know I've gone through, and I'm sure you've gone through this as well, Dr. Lona. And we probably, for me personally, I've been in practice for 24 years. So I think I forgot how far I've come. And so when dealing with a lot of newer docs or just docs that just don't have as much confidence as they should in general, this is something that I think that really cripples the chiropractic profession. And what that is that understanding that we have to step into this doctor role. And when I mean that, it's not like, hey, I have a DC behind my name, I'm a doctor. That means nothing. It's what leadership are you bringing to your patients and how are you affecting your community? And so, I guess I'll start with helping our listeners understand that, guys and gals, your job as a doctor is to tell people what they need, not telling what you think they expect or what you think they will approve. And I think it's such a challenge in chiropractic right now is that people want to be liked as doctors. I want to be liked, so I don't want to offend them or turn them off or get rejected. And we have to completely get rid of that. And the reason why is that what patients want from chiropractic, it's based on a very limited understanding of health. They don't understand how their body works. They don't understand what chiropractic truly provides to us. So our job is to teach patients the truth about health and then the role that chiropractic plays in that. Then we need to tell them what is best for them and let them decide how much they want to consume. You see, people always act out of their best interests. But if they don't have all the information, their best interest is typically to use chiropractic to feel better, and then they're done because they don't understand true health. But once you explain to them true health and chiropractic, now their best interests include long-term chiropractic care. See, docs, you can't worry about what people think. You have to tell them the truth. Because here's what I've experienced in the conversion process. It's the 10-80-10 rule. 10% of people will never convert. You could be BJ Palmer and they're not going to convert. No matter what you do, they're just not. So forget about those people. On the other end of the bell curve, there's the 10% that will convert no matter what you do. You could give a horrible day two. You could be a horrible communicator. They just want to be a chiropractic patient. They're going to do it regardless. So we don't worry about those 10% on the end. It's the 80% in the middle that we have to focus on, because those people will go either way based on what you teach them and how you lead them. If you truly believe in chiropractic philosophy, and I want you guys, listeners, to hear me when I say this, if you truly believe in chiropractic philosophy, then a small part of you must die inside when you water it down and you only tell them what you think they want to hear, or you only recommend what you think they're willing to accept. Docs, do you feel that? I hope that hit you right between the eyes, because I remember spending time there. And now I've just gotten so much confidence over time that I just tell them exactly what they need. They say yes, great. They say no, great. It's on them.
Yep.
That's what they're coming to us for, guys. You have to realize that anybody that goes to any expert in any field is going there with a problem that they want solved. And they want that person, whether it be a doctor, a plumber, an electrician, to tell them what they need to solve that problem. And then it's up to the patient or the customer to determine, do I want to do this? But if you don't give them the full information, they can't make an educated decision. You see, we all agree that it's out of integrity to recommend too much care to a patient, but it's also out of integrity to recommend too little care to a patient. I mean, if I go to any kind of professional, a doctor, and I have this challenge I want to get solved, if that doctor tells me less than what I need because he's hoping I'll convert or accept the care plan, I'm pissed because I have a problem to solve. And so if he's only telling me half of, or she's only telling me half of what I need, I go through the process and I don't get the results I'm looking for, that will give you a bad reputation. I'd much rather them tell me exactly what I need and then let me decide if I want to do it or not. And I think what's happened is so many chiros have watered things down and they've lost their passion for chiropractic because they're only talking about manipulating joints for short-term pain relief, right? That's not chiropractic, right? Certainly we want to help them with their symptoms and help them feel and function better, but that's not chiropractic. If that's what you want to do, you got in the wrong profession. You should go do something else. There's lots of other healthcare professionals that provide that, but that's not what we do. But when you can actually get into the philosophy and teach people chiropractic, guess what, guys? They want it. The vast majority do. And I think that we focus on the 20% that would reject us and we get so worried about them, we forget about the 80% that would completely embrace it and be our biggest raving fans.
Yes. Eric Unplugged. This is good. So true.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And so we know that, and we talk about this in Remarkable Practice, I believe it was from a study they did about 15 years ago when they were developing Obamacare, right? The Affordable Care Act, I think it was 2010. And they surveyed large groups of the American population, trying to get an idea of what are Americans looking for in their healthcare system. And one of the questions they asked them was, what are the most important traits that you look for in a healthcare provider? The top three were empathy, certainty, and passion. And I was like, wow. I mean, the certainty I get, right? We don't want a doctor that's wishy-washy, right? Another reason, guys, to be 100% confident about your recommendations, right? If you're not, they feel that. So I think certainty didn't surprise me, but empathy, like bedside manner, how will you listen to people and understand their story first is hugely important. And I think that's something that good percent of chiropractors do pretty well. I mean, we could certainly improve on that, but we tend to be much better empathetic connectors than most of the people in the medical system. But the last one's passion. And I love that. People want to be around other passionate people.
Yep.
And as chiropractors, we have so much to be passionate about, right? Tell people the story. But what do? So many people water it down because they're afraid they won't accept it. It's like that's the exact opposite of what your community is looking for. I
Yep.
tell people, be polarizing. Like be polarizing 100%. You want to attract your tribe and repel those that don't vibe with you. That's exactly what we want. See, most chiropractors think day one and day two is the process where the patient gets to determine if they want to join the practice and accept their recommendations. It's not. For me, it's a filter for us to determine if we even want them in our practice. That's what day one and day two is about. We stand for what we believe in. Do you want that? Awesome. Come join the tribe. You're going to love it here. That doesn't resonate with you? Go somewhere else. You're going to hate it here. Right? And so that's what we have to stand for and realize and empower ourselves to understand they need us way more than we need them. And when you have that confidence, you can stand there and give the recommendations that you know they need. And if they say yes, awesome. If they say no, awesome. Who's next? And when we can do that with confidence and certainty and empathy and passion, you will see your conversion rates skyrocket.
Yep. So Eric, if you're a young doc that's listening to this, like, and is like, wow, I can tell he is convicted around what he's saying and he is passionate about what he's saying. Like, what do you think were some of the earliest things that started to like grow that stable certainty and that conviction that you now can sit here and teach other doctors, like, here's what's off, here's what we got to go get?
Great question. So I think what most docs have to focus on is don't focus on being liked, focus on being respected.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge because I think that, chiropractors are such amiable people. We're just such loving, caring. Like, I love being around chiropractors. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to the point where we don't want to be disliked. And so we like, well, if the patient likes me, they'll do what I say. If the patient likes me, they'll want to come in. I hate to tell you guys, listeners out there, they don't need more friends. Your patients don't need more friends. They're not going to pay you to be their friend. They need
Right.
a health coach. They need a health mentor to guide them out of their sick disease state. That's what they need. That's what they're
Yes.
willing to pay for. And so don't focus on being liked, focus on being respected. Because if your patients respect you, they will do exactly what you ask them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do exactly what you ask them to do, it's going to completely change their life. And when you change their life, they're not just going to like you, they're going to love you. And so we have to focus on being respected. That's what your patients want. That's what the value that you bring to the community. And we see it all the
I'm gonna
time with
just pause you
docs.
for a second though.
Yeah.
How many of you also need to take a gut check? We all do at times of like, am I being the doctor who should be respected? Am I practicing what I preach? Am I taking good care of myself? Am I showing up as that doctor that deserves that and is going to be able to steward more people because I'm being a good steward?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Mm,
And going back to what I said about being liked, we want to be friends with our patients sometimes. But the problem is, if you think about it, friends are the worst patients on the planet, next to family. Family are the worst,
yeah.
right? Because they don't view you as a chiropractor. They don't view you as his health expert. They view you as that person they play golf with on the weekend or the kid who they change your diapers, right? And so I don't, I mean, I love my friends and my family. I want them to get care, but they make the
Mhm.
worst patients typically.
Yeah.
In fact, I was just telling a client the other day that when I have friends come into the office now, I had the conversation. Look, outside of here, we're friends. We'll go out, play golf, we'll hang out, we'll do fun stuff. But in here, I'm your chiropractor. That's
Hmm.
it. It's a separation. My job here is to tell you what's best for your health and to tell you exactly what you should and shouldn't do. Right? Outside, we'll have fun, but in here, I'm not your friend. I'm your chiropractor. We have to
Yeah.
draw that line to be that mentor that they need. Because if
Right.
you blur the lines, they're not going to respect it. They're not going to do what they said, and they'll be like, "Yeah, I went to Dr. Eric for a while. Didn't really do anything for me." Right? Because
Hmm.
they'll end up dropping out of care. So you ask, like, what well, that's the thing that changed really for me is I went from focus on being liked to being respected. Now, how do you guys do that? How do you do that consistently over time? This is where systems are huge, guys, because systems are what reinforce the behavior. When you have systems in place for how you do your day ones, your day twos, your day threes, your workshops, your table talk, your progress exams, progress sports, re-exams, you don't have to think, how am I going to treat this person today based on what I think they might want? You just follow the system. The
Right.
system's set up so that I just do this regardless, right? Obviously, we change what we say based on the person's needs. We follow our same day one structure, same day two, same everything, regardless of the patient. See, guys, systems don't restrict you. A lot of people think systems restrict me. Systems don't restrict you. Systems are what sets you free because you
Yes.
no longer have to decide in the moment, what do I need to do here? You just
Hmm.
follow the system. Now we have to make sure we have systems set up for if our goal is to have wellness-based chiropractic, lifetime family chiropractic, then you have to have systems that support that. Right? If your systems support just a pain-based practice, that's a practice you're going to get. And if you want that, great. But there's nothing more painful than being a chiropractor who loves the concept of lifetime family wellness, but they're living in a pain-based practice. Right?
Right.
That's just not being congruent with who you really should be.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, also same thing, like, if you're treating yourself and your family one way, you're like,
Mhm.
"I go get my spine checked. I checked my family spine this week. I live a chiropractic lifestyle, but I'm pigeonholed to being, what will your insurance pay for? And it's just back pain." That's painful.
100%. And I'm not saying it's easy, guys, because they've been trained by the allopathic system that
Mhm.
we're in this start stop approach with healthcare. It's like I have a symptom, I start a program of care. Maybe it's medications, maybe it's whatever, some, physical. I start something, and then when my symptoms gone, I stop, and then I don't do anything else until something new shows up, and I start again. And so
Mhm.
they have to realize that yes, we are part of a healthcare system, but we are very unique in that we're making changes to the body and wanting to protect those changes. It never ends. Like, when are you going to stop brushing your teeth? When are you going to stop going to the gym? When are you going to stop eating healthy? Right?
Right.
If you value your health, you're never going to stop that. So we have to help people understand that we are different, and that's a good thing. Right? I
Right.
don't want to be like the rest. Right?
Right.
It's like it's kind of mind blowing to me. And I hate to rip on chiropractors, but this is just what I see because I am one. I love chiropractors, but it's like for years we had this unique thing that we are in addressing the cause of sickness and disease, addressing and correcting subluxation. But now you start to see other healthcare providers are starting to like get really interested in what we do. They want to start doing what more we do. And here, what do we have? Chiropractors. We're the ones jumping off the ship when it's actually
Yeah.
rising and people are starting to embrace it, right? So
Yeah.
we have to
More and
step
more
into
people
what we
talking
do
about nervous system regulation everywhere, right?
than ever before, right?
Yeah.
And so this is the time to be, I've in my 24 years, I've heard it say so many times, never been a better time to be a chiropractor. I truly believe this is the
Yeah.
time. With the whole Maha movement and what we're seeing, people are embracing natural health. They're rejecting medicines and vaccines more than ever before.
Uh,
Like people are looking for what you have, guys. The problem is they don't know you have it. They
Yeah.
don't know you have it until you tell them.
Yeah.
So it's the confidence thing. And I think some of it happened, the challenge with some of this is that new docs, they're worried about, I got to pay the bills, right? I got to pay the bills. I got to be able to, earn money. I got to pay my student loans. And so we worry too much about money. And so that's why we're like, even if they start with a small care plan, that's a start, right? It's something. But the truth is you guys have to tell them what's best and detach from the results. And that's
Mhm.
when it becomes easier. It's when you don't care about the money anymore. When you're doing this for them and the result is money rather than the focus being the money, that's when you can tell them what's best for them and let them decide. And just
Yeah.
detach from the result. Like I don't care anymore whether they say yes or no. I want them to say yes because I know they're going to get great outcomes. But if they say no, awesome. Who's next? Right. And what's ironic about that is the less you care or less you are attached to what they choose, the more people you convert and retain.
Correct. A mentor said to me early on, you need to care so much you don't care at all.
Mhm.
And that really stuck with me. It was like, okay, I think I can do that. Like I want to say to you what I'd want someone to say to me or to say to my mother or my father or my spouse or my child. And at the same time, learning how to detach from like it. Your end of the bargain is to be a great communicator, to learn how to do this thing called chiropractic well, on all levels, and then to let go and let them do their end of the bargain.
Is guess what? You can't control what they do.
Right.
Right. I love Stoic philosophy. And in Stoic philosophy, they said that all unhappiness is caused by two things.
Mm,
Number one is wanting things we don't need. And number two is worrying about things we can't control.
yeah.
Guess what, docs? You cannot control whether the patient values their health like you do.
Right.
All you can do is teach them, try to inspire them, and tell them what's best for them. Whatever they choose is completely out of your control.
Mm,
And so that's why you need to detach. You could show up and do your best day one and day two you can possibly do. If they say yes, great. If they say no, it wasn't meant to be, and move on
right.
to the next person that actually cares. Right. I always like when I think about the confidence of docs and the certainty, I always go back to, a close friend of mine about 4 years ago was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Mm,
And I watched her kind of go through that process and the oncologist and regardless of what you docs think about how people treat cancer
yes.
that's outside of the story. And so she went to the oncologist and they told her what she had and told her everything. They laid out, you're going to need 8 sessions of chemo, you're going to need a double mastectomy, you're going to need radiation, you're going to need blah blah blah. And they just said, are you in? And she said yes. But they did
Mm,
with complete confidence. They didn't say, well, let's just start with a couple sessions of chemo and see how it goes. Right.
right.
That's kind of the chiropractic approach. Let's just start and see how it goes. Like, no, they said, you got to do this, this, and this. You want to do it? She said yes. And so she did it. If she said no, they'd be like, okay, who's next? They do not care because they have that certainty and confidence.
Yeah.
They have belief in what they do, whether or not you agree with it. They have
Mhm.
belief in what they do and they show up and do that. And so we need to have that same confidence and certainty about what we do in chiropractic.
Yeah. Yep. And another piece of advice for the young docs listening is, maybe you haven't seen enough through, clinical care to feel like you're as confident, with whoever walks in. Can you help them? That's why doing chiropractic in a vacuum isn't a great idea. Like get around other people who ooze chiropractic, who've been in practice 20 some years, you can almost like wear some of their confidence by being around and rubbing shoulders and getting to those seminars and different things. So that's something that I think younger docs, particularly, it's going to speed up your learning curve and your conviction so much to get around mentors who can help you to feel that and see that and start to try on their words and understand their experiences in chiropractic. That's critical.
It's like act as if, right? It's like even
Yes.
though you don't have it, act as if you did. Talk to people like you and I, Lona, who've been around and we've seen it all. I remember when I first got into chiropractic, and I had these mentors were talking about how these kids, they're or adults, their sinus problems went away and bowel issues and all these
Yes.
different like non-musculoskeletal pain issues went away. And I was like, wow, I don't even know what that looks like, right? Coming out of school. And so I just believed it. And I just said, nervous
Yep.
system controls everything. And we
Yep.
started giving the proper recommendations. And guess what? You start to see it. And you're
It's
just like,
yeah.
wow, this actually works, right? And that gives you the confidence. However, if you're running a pain-based practice, you're seeing somebody 6 or 8 times, you're probably not going to see a lot of those chiropractic miracles, right?
Right.
Because it just wasn't enough care to really, restore proper nervous system function where all these different things started to go away. So you actually have to
Yes.
adjust people enough to actually get a healthy nervous system so that you can see these different miracles.
Yep. Yep. So good. Eric, this is a huge conversation. And for those of you listening that are bringing on associates, like this is what you get to work with them on too is like and I believe it's how we get stewarded, right? We receive this from our teachers, our mentors and continue to. And now, to have the good fortune to have associates in your practice to then nurture them to have this conviction and be able to serve a larger swath of people because there's more than just one person doing it with conviction, right?
Yep. And what's
Mhm.
great about chiropractic is it just makes sense, guys. When
Yeah.
you can explain it simply, it just makes sense. People get it. It's very opposite of what they've been told. And so it takes a little bit of like, oh yeah. But if you think about it, like nowhere all in our lives does it make do we ever think it's better to treat a symptom than address the cause? Like nowhere in our lives except our health.
Right.
That's how good the pharmaceutical and medical system has been at brainwashing people to believe that, yeah, yeah, address the cause in every other part of your life. But when it comes to your health, no, 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 don't address the
Yeah.
cause. Just take this drug to
Let's
treat the
just
symptom.
mask it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And once you expose that, patients are just like, oh my God, that just makes sense.
Right.
It just makes sense. And people embrace that. But if you water it down and tell them the truth, you're never going to get to experience that.
Mhm. Mhm. So good. Yeah. One of my favorite analogies there is like, if your house is on fire, you don't go cut the cord that goes to the, fire alarm, right? But that is literally what we do in healthcare all day long. Um, and it is one of those things where we have to have a lot of grace for people, right? Because we get in our bubble, especially in our chiropractic world. We love chiropractors. You hang out with chiropractors, you're surrounded by the chiropractic philosophy, and we have to maintain that ability to go walk back across that bridge and help people walk over it again, learning and unlearning and reframing what their paradigm of health will be. And we can do that with grace if we have the conviction and the empathy, like you said, to know that that's part of our role. But not
Absolutely.
have to be their friends to do it. We can be kind and loving and do it from a different vantage point than trying to get them to like us.
Right. And leading them.
Yeah.
Right. That's the goal. They need to be led.
Yeah. So good. Thank you, Eric. I know you're going to be at the immersion on stage that's coming up here in Phoenix, and everyone can find you also through Dr. Eric at the Remarkable Practice, I believe.com.
Yep.
Awesome. And we're going to have him back on the show here probably in the next episode.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
Yep.
Hey everyone, please listen in for this next bonus interview of one of our remarkable success partners. They all help us help more people find the benefits of chiropractic. So listen on.
All right, Remarkables. So I am excited to introduce Naota Hashimoto with TrackStat. I'm excited to interview Naota because we implemented TrackStat in our practice probably about 2 years ago, and it really was a big game changer for our practice on multiple levels. So, Naota, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about TrackStat too?
Yeah, well, just started out in practice, right? I was actually looking for a solution. If it would have existed, I would have done it. But like we just cobbled together a Frankenstein set of things. We had a software called Infusionsoft, which is like for patient communication. We had a texting platform that integrated with our ChiroTouch. We had 7 spreadsheets. And then we had a stat tracking software. Nothing talked to each other, and it was kind of a nightmare. And if I would have known the amount of effort it would have taken to get to here, I probably wouldn't have started. But I think that's the whole part of entrepreneurship that, you just have an idea and you just run with it. And it just, that boulder keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But like now that it's like rolling downhill, it's definitely a lot easier. So the premise behind the software is we wanted to take static data in your EHR, like a system of record, and make it actionable. right? So like we started out with like some accountability, but the hard part about accountability is the front desk staff and admin, they're so busy like just serving patients and answering the phones that it takes some time to figure out what to do. So then we want to make it easy to track patients, but we also wanted to be able to check their work, just like a math teacher, right? If you got a perfect score or a wrong score, you need to be able to check the work. So we started out with patient tracking, and then then people just say, well, I want online scheduling. I want a mobile app. I want reminders. I want marketing. I want a high level integration, a Fortis, cash practice. I want these other integrations. So part of the automation is that. And then now with, AI getting better and better and better, most of the people on here have probably noticed an explosion of like AI voice. And that's one of the things that we're rolling out next month. And actually by the time the podcast hits, it's going to be out, but it's, yeah, now like what we try to do is we try to take an action that's supposed to happen and put AI or automation on the front end, and
Yep.
then not everyone responds to that. So then we have a workflow for the non-responders. And then the last piece is accountability. So the example I always give everyone is a no-show appointment, right? Someone misses appointment, we reach out, you guys reach out, we attempt to do it through automation or AI. The front desk starts to do it, and then we give the admin team a workflow of all the canceled and missed appointments that haven't been rescheduled yet, with an easy way for them to text, email, schedule, make a note. And then the last piece is accountability. And then we just follow that with every piece of the practice.
Okay, awesome. So the AI component will take out a lot of the front desk, like back end stuff that they're trying to do in between, like patient, where it's like greet a patient, text someone back, call them. The AI component is supposed to do
Yeah, like
all
anything
of
from like
that.
a confirmation call or someone
Yeah.
calling in and just like, oh, it's like David's calling in on Friday. He's like, hey, I forgot my appointment on Friday. What time is it? 3:30. Oh, I can't make 3:30. Can I change it to 4? Oh, can I schedule an appointment for my daughter at the same time? Right?
Oh,
Like that kind of stuff. Or yeah,
mhm,
just if you take out all the rescheduling,
mhm.
changing, adding new appointments, do you take Medicare? Do you take Blue Cross? I hurt my knee. Do chiropractors work with knees? I have sciatica. I have nemesis and like all these little things, like and
Yeah.
24/7. If you start looking at how many missed phone calls you have versus how many voicemails, there's a big disparity. Now, some of that is going to be spam calls, right? And then some of it is your existing patients. They call, no answer, they hang up and they call again until they get a live person. But if I think with the cost of labor going up and like people just expect stuff, like
Yeah.
I needed some new baseball stuff for my kids. I ordered it yesterday afternoon. It got here yesterday evening. Same day. Same
Yes.
day. So it's like
Yes.
people, and I didn't have to do much. I just searched, click, click, done. And it
Cool.
was like just literally at our house.
Yeah. Well, and all of us, like, we have A-player teams, right? And our big thing is we want longevity with our team, and this is probably something, like, as I'm speaking this out loud, I know my front desk is getting excited because as much as they know that's the important part of their job, it's probably, like, some of their least favorite, right? Because they know the answers, they know how to give it there, but it's, like, time suckers, right? Of just, like, the easy kind of thing. So I feel like
Yeah, it's a huge time sucker. And like some of the stuff they can't answer, we would never have the AI deal
yeah.
with like a billing dispute, right? Trying to explain an EOB, that's just gonna get them in hot water. But like if, like if they're just checking in on Mrs. Anderson that got a hip replacement last month, right? Someone's spouse is like going through chemo, like a get well soon card. Like I think certain in the day and age of AI and automation, like some stuff should just be analog. Like I tell like a lot of our users, like, hey, what we used to do is I do a custom video and then text it out to them after their consult. Because like I used to call, but like no one
Mhm.
picks up the phone. So I just do a custom video. And there's like a free software called like Loom. You could just record a quick little video and just say, hey, Rachel, it was great seeing you today. Just wanted to let you know that we went over your exam and x-rays, found a couple of things that concern me a little bit. Definitely something we could work with. We could probably get you back on that pickleball court pretty soon and definitely get you ready for that trip to Italy this summer with your kids and grandkids. Don't forget to bring your spouse with you to the visit. Like just a
Yeah.
simple little thing. Like I see people that want to automate that and you can automate it, but I think in the day and age of AI and automated everything, when someone does an analog thing, like
Mhm.
like it just blows you away. So like I think like freeing
Mhm.
your front desk team to do those like very human to human activities.
Yeah. And obviously what you just explained was a TRP standard of and like Joy Coleman mixed together with just like perfection of things. So I do want to highlight too with TrackStat because yes, there's this AI automated tool, but TrackStat like literally can integrate with like almost everything. And maybe one of my favorite things about TrackStat, note if you want to touch on this, is like all the stuff you focus on. And one of my favorites as a CEO is the stats that you guys just can just come up with like instantly. So like our scoreboards and scorecards can just be like implemented in seconds throughout the month, which in the past literally took my office manager hours a week to do. And now it's like click of a button, you've been able to create that for us. So to kind of tell us all the features that TrackSet has to offer for, office managers, CEOs, kind of like everybody, because it's not just the AI component. There's so much more to what you guys have too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like with the stat part, like, like anything that you want to do, like, okay, I want to know how many re-exams. I want to know how many of these re-exams move forward. Like a lot of the stuff people are tracking is like a visit associated with a provider, associated with an appointment type. Did they schedule it? Did they show revenue? And revenue gets definitely kind of tricky when you start like breaking it down, filtering it down, and getting that in real time, consistent way. And at the end of the day, like, stats are really just about trends. So if you're doing it consistently the same way, is it trending up? Is it flat? Is it going down? What action do I need to take? And if you're having a human do it, and let's just say you have Tiffany working on it, and Tiffany runs a certain report, she trains Sarah to do it. Now, Sarah does it a little bit differently, and now you might be getting slightly different stats. And then I see some offices, they're literally hand counting certain kinds of appointments. And like one, that sucks. Two, that takes time. And three, they can make a mistake. And you can make
Yeah.
a business decision based on bad data. So like the nice thing about, like software doing it, it does it real time, but consistently, right? Imagine like if you were driving in your car and like you had someone trying to look at kind of like the odometer to figure out the distance and someone holding like a stopwatch and you're trying to figure out how fast you're driving, you're going to get a ton of speeding tickets, right? Because it's just slow and delayed. So getting, like your speedometer in real time is going to be important, just like in your business.
Yep, for sure. Cool. So yeah, TrackStat is able to, and another great feature too that, and again, I truthfully love TrackStat and tell all my clients about it, but another great feature for your staff too is rescheduling, keeping patients on track. I feel like there's new features constantly. Every other time you log in, it's like, oh, you have a new update, you have a new update. And so I do appreciate that too a lot because like you're constantly staying on track with things and, getting new features, communicating with new clients on that level, seeing the schedule live, people can just like flow super quickly through things. And it's just an awesome tool for practice optimization in so many levels. So yeah.
Yeah. No, like we just try to add a lot more automation. So like, finding quality like A players is getting harder and harder and harder, right? And, I'm pretty sure most CEOs out there would rather deal with like a handful of awesome A players rather than like diluting the pool, right? It also allows you to pay your team more, right? Because you're going to be a more profitable business too.
Yeah, for sure. Love that. Anything else, Noda, that you want listeners to know about your product and how they can optimize and even especially with TRP?
Well, like the easiest thing for people to do is just do a free trial, right? If they just go to trackstat.org, trackstat.org, they could do a free trial. It doesn't interfere what you're doing. We could work with other softwares, and then yeah, some people will decide, I can't believe it does all these different things and integrates with these other Chiro-friendly softwares. So like a free trial is where to go. Some people kind of come to us just because they want better metrics. And then they realize, oh, I got all these patients that should be coming in. Like people love our recall list, right? So like our recall algorithm will take a look at patients' past scheduling and payment habits and put ones at the top that are more likely to schedule, ones at the bottom. So even with all this AI automation and workflows, like, like if you have 300 people on your list, why call all 300 when, there's probably 40 to 60 people that'll reschedule this week if you call them.
Yep, exactly.
So,
All
but
right, free trial doesn't hurt you guys. Like I said, that was one of my greatest things, and his staff is excellent to work with. So like on top of everything. So schedule a free consultations where you can learn some more, and you won't regret it too, just with the ease of stats and getting on track with patients. So thank you, Nada, and we'll talk to you later.
thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, please click the links in the show notes to schedule a call.